go. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember doing that stream for some reason. So, um, which one am I in? Where's it gone, bro? Jesus Christ, one sec. There we go. Now, if I go on stream, I don't like the new update on Discord. It's ruined everything. Right, there we go. What's up, Nasir? How you doing, brother? Nice, bro. Okay. Is your Mad Villain, bro? Is your connection choppy? You keep jumping in and out. Rocky, yes up, brother. I'm good. I'm good, bro. Thank you. Right. I wanted to do a quick stream because I actually have some free time on my hands today. My sleep is ruined, but you know that comes with the territory, right? You guys can see my screen, right? Yeah, that's the recording too. Fib channel, trend extension, fib retracement. Been trying to mix those. Yeah, yeah. Fibs are go-to, bro. Honestly, like anyone who says fibs don't work, um, is on what basis, right? Because the way I teach it, like you guys have seen it, the way I teach fibs, it's nothing to do with back testing. It's all forward. We put the the pools down based on the data you would have had, and then we forward test it to see, okay, but did the levels work or not, right? That's how you're meant to back test. The people who say fibs don't work probably have only seen people who don't know how to use fibs, right? You know the type of people I'm talking about. They'll get a random retracement, put it down to make it look nice instead of actually getting levels on their screen. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, in that case, yeah, fibs don't work. But in the way we use it, fibs absolutely work. In fact, I'd argue they're probably one of the most powerful forms of TA that you do have. I mean, harmonics is still an extension of fibs, right? What we see here is still an extension of fibs, so it's very, very powerful. Right, let's get started. I want to go over real quick everything. Like, I literally jumped on, it was open on Goat, so let's take a look at Goat. The reason I want to do today's stream is to pinpoint to you guys, please do not be shaken out by this dump. That's the whole reason I've been telling you guys do 20, 40, 40, wait for the higher low. Right, what I said was, remember, 20, 40, 40, never go all in before the trend has confirmed shifted, right? These higher lows, if they come in now, are going to confirm a trend shift. And that is that is the point within which, if you're going to fully allocate for spot, is going to be at that moment, not any time before. Okay, but 2.24 on this one, right? So Jesus, let me just do this. Yeah, 2.24. Let me just put some levels down on my screen. 1 second here. I'm just gonna rapid fire some some charts your way. So this is a 0. No, sorry, this is 2.24. AB equals CD 2.24. I don't have any goats. Will I trade it? That's what I'm trying to look at, right? So the only thing I'm going to have on spot are the things that I've given you guys across the alts and the Weatherman chart dump section. Everything else is going to be leverage, right? There's not going to be much size behind this. Like I said, I'm nearly 7 figures deployed into spot. I still have some cash left on the side, and once I fully deploy into spot, I'll be past that 7 figure mark. But for now, we still have the trend shifts waiting to come in, right? Which is why I'm not fully deployed yet. Like 90% of my port is going to be in spot. Okay, everything else I'm going to leverage with, mess around with. Otherwise, it's going to be spot all the way. So the 2.618 would be slightly down over here. You had a really nice PRZ here, right? So 2.618. There we go. Now, if you did get some sort of absolute macro flush across the charts, then this is something that could end up hitting on Goat, right? Again, there's no random reason I'm picking this. It was just on when I open my screen, therefore I'm giving it. But for now, hopefully you can see, if you guys wanted to form a higher time frame thesis, right? And that thesis can, for example, come based on this. Here is a monthly buyer and a seller zone together. We now have this extremely powerful area of interest where we see in the past there has been support, there has been resistance, right? Radon liquidity. So if we can reconfirm this as support, then you have a cumulative structure here on Goat. Trend has shifted, right? The last lower high that led to the lower low, so on and so forth, has been taken out. So up to the mid of this, That'd be, if you get 0.0941, like, that'd be a nice entry. If you're going to leverage trade, or if you want a tight stop loss trade, do it level by level, right? So here's your first zone. If you close below that on like the 4 hours or something, just go to your next one. If you close below that, go to your next one, so on and so forth. Otherwise, this zone as a whole, if you want some spot goat for some reason, right? If you want to spot hold this, then this is the region that you don't want lost, basically. Okay. There you go. There's your demand line. So we could definitely see one more flush down on this, something like this, and I would build just like a scalp the swing mindset long on these, right? Because I don't want to go to be the main driver of my portfolio. Obviously, I'm not going to trade this with much size. You want to allocate size to things you're okay just holding because you've got conviction in it, right? Goat's not one of them. But now, in terms of a technical analysis perspective, you're approaching areas where you can manage your risk very well, right? That's the key thing here. Aggressive selling going on, not being rewarded for now, as you can see. However, we do have this that's going to be providing resistance, which is why I wouldn't long quite yet, right? It's just not worth it in terms of risk to reward. If you go here, you could put on a lower high and have another drop down. So either you do this and you get in, or you go down here and then you get in, one or the other right now. Okay. But yeah, that's go. So we're just gonna go over charts that look good. That's it. So welcome in, bro. Grove, nice. Yes, it's recorded, Rocky, bro. Yeah. Oh, it's not going to be long. I'm just going to quickly go over some like macro overview. That's it. Fog, yeah. Let's look at fog. I have got fog charted. Fog is just all ABCDs, if I'm not mistaken. Hang on. Let me get rid of this. Fog rejected off the ABCD 2.618 for now. But you have flipped, and let me see. It must be the daily. Yeah. Daily seller zone has been flipped, right? Area of resistance. But let's look for something more higher time frame. So let's look at the weekly. Where are we? Weekly order block. I'm not interested in that. Weekly seller zone. That's what I'd want to watch. Current cycle. And that's a red candle. Yep. So your macro read is going to be that, right? Boom. I would not want FOG to go and take the lows again, right? I mean, it could. There's local distribution here across the range. Since you fail to get above range highs, you could go and take out range lows before reclaiming. But what I'd want it to do, and what I'd want many coins to do, is just hold trend for now. Keep it simple. Hold trend and then just send it, right? But right now, if you're talking FOG, I do see a potential wave structure. So let's analyze that. Right over here. So from here to here to here. That's a 618. So this is going to be a deep Gartley basically. Hang on. There we go. And then the 786 is just above. So here's your Gartley 786. Many things have got Gartleys right now. You'll see this. I've been scanning a load of shit and it's just 786s right now. Gartleys after Gartleys. Gotta love Gartleys, man. So we have this, right? This is your Gartley 0.786. Therefore, your 886 is probably going to line up with your 1.618 or a bit deeper. So Gartley 1.618 is going to be here. Going to be quick because I want to go over a lot today. I'm just gonna jam pack this with info, but I'm not gonna take up like my usual time, right? And then 886 would be the deep Gartley. I'd want the 886 on this. Just quickly rate the trend line, demand line, let's say, and then after that, just absolutely send it. I think Fog's probably set up better than Goat is, to be honest. I mean, they look fairly similar, right? But to be honest, you could create like a little meme portfolio. Like literally, don't allocate much money to it, right? I have an allocation that's on the smaller side, but create a meme portfolio like Goat, Fog, Farcoin, all of these you can put under the meme portfolio and just trade that. Because it'd be nice to see how much do memes outperform by, right? Because we know they've been outperforming massively so far in this cycle. So, but yeah, this is the area I would not want lost on fork, brother. This one right here, between 0.047 and 0.041, basically. If you can maintain above that, that'd be lovely, right? Below that, there's no point holding until you basically get down to the 2.618 again, as you can see. So that'd be a nice area there on fork. But realistically, right, for low leverage swings or for spot, like these are just areas where you could probably, especially for spot, maybe not even like if you do a 2x, you know, you could still be a bit nasty for these altcoins. But for spot, like it's so easy to manage. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you don't need much. That's the thing. You can still have a spot portfolio for memes that's nowhere near as big as your main, and it will still do well, right? Let's say you put something tiny like $1,000 in this, $1,000 in fork, $1,000 in you know, like go 1,000 in this meme, that meme. Maybe your meme portfolio is a total of 5,000, right? Like I said, not big, not that big compared to what your main would be, let's say, right? You can still like even like $1,000, right, or even 500, right, in spot in this. Let's say it does give you a nice impulse, and not even like a high move. Like let's just say you go back to the 2.24. I think it goes higher, but let's just say all you do is go back to the 2.24. Right? Even that's gonna, your $500 is gonna be like, you know, like 1,500 something, right? So you know, with these, it's like for spot, you can easily manage your risk here, and you can turn even a little into a lot very very quick with coins like these, right? And this is what I'm saying. You don't need much. Don't size up on this, because if it goes wrong, it's gonna go wrong. But if you don't go in with much to begin with, especially spot, no leverage, right? You don't need leverage at these areas. You can turn even 100 into like, you know, half a thousand, very very easily. If you're lucky, like you might just turn 100 into 1,000 in this. Maybe you get a 10x, right? But you know, let's keep it conservative. Like even 100, you can turn into like 400, 500, super quick in these, right? It's not going to take long. Like once like the buying pressure comes in, like this is what I was saying to Soul earlier. Just look at the weekly, just look at the monthlies, right? These are the kind of candles you're in for once things get going. Like 291% monthly candles. So you're even 100 is going to turn into like, you know, 300, 400 within a month, very very soon. So that's, you go risk free within a month once things go going in profits, and then you can really snowball from there, right? But yeah, you know, with these, it's yeah, it's risky. Of course, it's risky, but trading's risky inherently. So, you know, as long as you manage your risk, that's the important thing. Doesn't matter what risky asset you trade. The main thing is, can you manage your risk, right? But yeah, FOG looks good at those areas. 0.94. Yeah, I've not even put the macro fibs down, to be honest. Oh wait, no. Hang on. I've got what did I have down over here? Harmonics in progress. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I had those exact same Gartleys and stuff already marked down. 786, 886. I already had them marked down. This had a really nice harmonic in the past, right? Look at this. This is another one. 618 to 1.618. Right. This is an area where you have also a crab. Right. You have the 618 to the 1.618. You literally have a crab here, and I believe the hop of the crab is the 2.0. Have we hit the hop? Okay, no, we're nowhere near the hop, but we've hit the crab, right? So as long as you're above now, that, right, which is the crab 1.618, as long as you're above this region, like all's good, right? This is what I'm saying. This region, I really want to hold this region on fork. One more drive down to this region, that'd be a nice bet, right? You could go like, you know, a little bit now and DCA into this range, so on and so forth. There's many different ways you can play this, right? Do what's comfortable for you. Okay, because I can't tell you how you should enter, how you should manage your risk, because I might give you an entry you are not comfortable with, in which case I'm doing you a disservice. But what you have now are the significant levels that I actually need to watch for, and you've got more in the screen. So, you know, you enter how you feel like. You might not be that comfortable entering with size here, that's fine, enter 30% or something, and then DCA should you go lower, or size up if you start flipping it to support and this does look like the low, right? There's many different ways you can play this, but the main thing is, don't get chopped out and just watch your downside. That's it. Sure, we might chop around a bit more, right? Because obviously bottoms don't get formed that quickly. We might chop around a bit more, but look, the fact of the matter is the last lower highs that led to the lower lows have been taken out on a higher time frame, right? Even on the weekly, we just need a higher low to come in. If that happens, that is the first sign. That I keep it very simple, KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. You've gone from the left side of the V to the right side of the V, the buy side, okay? That's the first sign. We just need a confirmation of a higher low. And pretty much every altcoin out there is looking like this right now, right? So if not risking here, where, right? That's the question. But yeah, that's fog. So that's fog. Let's take a look. Right, let's go over our main. So let me add fog to, yeah, fog's already there. Goat's the other one we looked at, isn't it? So GOAT, goat. I'll add goat, and I'll create a meme section in Focus V2. But let's go back to Focus, and we'll take a look. Right. So first and foremost, Solana. What are we doing? Retesting, back at that trend line again. If you can maintain the trend line on the higher time frame closes, for example, monthly closes tonight, that's pretty wild. You know, you're good. Otherwise, the next area is again just 133 to 126. That's it. The same yearly levels we've looked at all this time. It hasn't changed, right? It hasn't changed whatsoever. The area you're looking at is below this, and if you lose that trend line, I wouldn't be interested until we get back to basically 133.96 to 126.15. That's where I'd be interested. Okay. And you might see some front running. For example, we know there's now daily buy seller zones here, right? So range, current cycle, there you go. You might front run at 137, so on and so forth. If you see that front run, you'd start jumping in, because since these are yearly levels, you can't expect them to get tapped every single time. Front runs and liquidity rates of them are going to be like, you know, something that happens a lot. But yeah, you know, below this level, you just couldn't get back above again. What was once resistance, still resistance, right? But yeah, let's take a deeper look at Solana, and for that I'm going to go over here and Sol. What is that? Binance 30. Give me the index chart. Get off log. There we go. Okay. What the hell? 1 second. Is it this one? I have a chart of this with key inflection areas, but it's not this one. Where is it gone? 1 sec. Right, this, oh, I'm blind, it's right here, hang on. Okay, there we go. On the macro for Solana, nothing's changed. Okay, you're rejecting off key inflection area like we were talking about. You have to be careful there. And furthermore, you are also, like we saw, we're rejecting off yearly levels in terms of buy-seller zones, right? We are currently bouncing off the high historical price range, current bull market impulse mid. Okay, the current impulse is from the low, of course, to the high of the impulse. The mid of that's providing support. If you lose that again, you've got at 135, 134 to, you know, that 130 sort of area. You do have your original range, so that's your 2020 range, and then your 2022 downtrend impulse mids as well, which is going to provide you support. And if that is lost, then you'd be talking about 114 basically, right? So 3 significant areas. You have the first right now. If you lose that, your second is right over here. If you lose that, your third is right over here. And all of these again have confluences with yearly levels. Right, that being the next yearly level over here, and then after that the yearly levels down over there. So Solana is like, you don't need anything fancy. Literally just buy seller zones and historical price ranges, key inflection areas. Just in terms of those, it's fine, right? You're still within your range. Yeah, you've rejected off this for now, but we know, you know, even if that's lost, it's not the biggest like problem. You could do something crazy. You could do something like this, right? If you got a big enough flush, you could put some sort of macro cumulative structure in at these lows and then send it. Who knows? But what we are going to do now is we're going to take a look at this in terms of wave structure. Okay, you guys know, favorites of mine. We're going to take a look at this in terms of wave structure. So let's turn this off. Locally speaking, what do we have? Let's go to the daily. M shape, sure, looks like a shark. There's that rate on the high on the crypto chart. So from here to here to here, nearly a 1.13, so an 886. I want that to be at least 1.618 for the 886, right? That's the thing. There we go. Alright, so something like this perhaps on Solana. Right, you've got reasons to target lower. Here we go. You've got the rate on the high, right? So the D would be down over there. For now, that looks like the nice one. Still be a macro high or low. You take out all of these wicks over here. Might go to the 1.13. Like if it did, it looks something like this, right? In which case you've rated these lows and then go, but down at that range, down back towards 130 looks good for Solana. Like, of course, we're never going to get that if you keep maintaining above this trend line. We're never going to get that level, okay? But if you do break down from here, and let's say the first week or the first couple weeks of next month gives us that impulse down to put that fear into everyone, right? Put the fear of God into everyone as soon as the month starts, then we could get a really steep drop down towards the 130, 110 level basically on Solana. But you are at a key area right now, right? That's the thing. You're at a key area right now. But for like big plays, I don't see the benefit of entering here. For big plays, I'd rather just wait for a bit lower prices. Because here you can run right back into resistance again and then have another drop. Risk to reward wise for big plays is just not worth it here, right? So, but that's Solana. Yeah, hey John, how you doing, brother? Nice to see you in here, man. Okay, so
All good, man. Great,
nice,
great to be here.
nice, bro.
Cheers for
Yeah,
this.
no
Thanks.
problem. Anytime, bro. Thanks for being here, man. Right, Injective. We've had a nice pump up off the lows I put in alts, right? So for those of you that are newer to the server, in case you didn't realize, all the signals they're in the alt section. Okay, I've been forwarding it to Crypto Chat so you guys can see it. But a lot of entries have been given already, right? The initial low that we got, if you look at the old section, and there's the chart dump section as well. Those two are where I'm going to be posting, like, everything. The alts one are like proper setups, right? Where we have like, key areas, your invalidation triggers, so on and so forth. In the chart dump, that's more just like quick trades, basically, right? You can scalp the swings or scalp, so on and so forth. For bigger plays, I'm going to put it underneath the actual alt section. But this one, Injective, the initial entry is already in from that low. We were talking about this low before the dump happened. We have a really nice PRZ there, right? We had the 886 of the shark. We had the 886 of the just macro retracement from that ABC, right? We had the 1.272 of the butterfly. Really nice area. We had that flip as well, which you talked about, where you had a smiley face. That cumulative structure is what was taking you higher. Right? Yes, we could come. We haven't even hit our first target yet, right? Even in terms of the butterfly, we haven't hit our first target yet. Let alone, I've not even put the target for the bigger shark down. Even in terms of the butterfly, we haven't even hit the first target. So any pullbacks we get back towards this area is a bid for Injective, right? In my opinion, it's just a bid for Injective. Let me take a look. Let me turn some of these off. 12-month buy-seller zones. Yeah, you're rejecting off 2024, right? That's the thing. Look. You've been trying to close above 2024 12-month buy zone low, but any meaningful time scale, you look at the weekly, you're just not. It's SFPs after SFPs. For now, you're saying supply is kicking ass, right? It's just not getting above. So that could give us a nice little pullback. You just put your weekly macro read down, for example, the mid of that, and then the low. You've got the demand zone on a lower time frame here, something like the 3-day demand zone here that could get tapped into. But as long as these levels hold now, that's it. That's fine on Injective. The last lower high that led to the lower low has been taken out on the weekly, and we're just waiting for the higher low to come in, right? Again, that's it. Now the higher low might come in at the 618. That's a nice target to go for. So here's your impulse low for now. Let me just do golden pockets. Here's your impulse low, and remember, to the impulse high, your 618 is a bit lower, right? You might get the liquidity rate of the 618s, in which case, in fact, let me do it like this. The liquidity rate of the 618 is going to take you here. Hang on, not that one. Yeah, no, it's that one. Sorry, there. So 702, around $9, right? Could be a high low over there. You're gonna have wave structure, right? You're gonna have wave structure. Like I said, you're probably gonna have a shark or something here. Yeah, that's a shark. Right, so 886, 1 point. So I'm gonna go wider. Hang on. Here. So you have targets taking you to these low areas basically. All right, so here's your last one, 0.886. So you've got wave structures taking you lower, but for these, just wait until you see that sign of a macro high low coming in. You want to see that, sellers being absorbed. You want to see divergences, weekly bullish divergence, 3-day, so on and so forth. You want to see, but some of you have moved on to footprint charts, some of you haven't. You want to see the absorption coming in, right? You want to see buyer strength. You want to see the actual. If I go over here, you want to see the actual. What's it called? The actual market profile, like showing you consistent areas of support basically, right? That's what you want to see, and those signs haven't come in yet, right? So we could definitely get some more flushes, but like I said, I think it's just a matter of time until we do carry on like progressing higher. Okay, I don't think the top is in or anything like that, not yet. I just haven't seen the signs that I would want to see for it to be like spot, basically, for it to be a macro top, right? So that's injective. Let's take a look at the other ones real quick, right? Ethereum holding up like an absolute demon. Is very, very strong right now. How long is that gonna last for? I don't know, but I think there's like a, you know how there was like a you know how, like, you know, Bitcoin has Michael Saylor buying up all the supply. I think there's something like that for Ethereum as well. Someone was putting it in one of my streams in Unity. So you know, I think Ethereum's gonna have some nice buy pressure coming for it, and we're chilling, right? We're basically positioned. All you need is now a higher low, right? If you haven't gone all in, is good, because you know the trend shift is all we're waiting for, right? Now the trend shift might come in like here. The trend shift might come in deeper, or you might get a front run of 2282. Whenever we do see signs, however, that the trend shift happen, that's when you put that final allocation in. Okay. Otherwise, again, this is something you guys all should be in. Okay, because we talked about this at the low. We talked about how if you lose 2150, you are going to go to the 1500s. That's your historical price range 2 mid, right? Remember the correlation. If you lose key inflection area, you're going to historical price range mid. If you lose historical price range mid, you're going to your next key inflection area, right? If you hold key inflection area, you're going back to historical price range mid. If you hold that as support, going back up to your next key inflection area, right? If you lose key inflection area and you hold your historical price range mid, you're going back to your key inflection area. Right, these are all the things we learned. Third session, right, in our core mentorships, and that's what's happened. You lost, you held, you went back up, right? And this is where we discussed. You know, we saw the just absolutely aggressive seller absorption that was going on. Right, if I go to the weekly here, and we were to take a look, this is something again I put in the channel on ETH. If you guys go to look at OAP ETH, right, underneath the crypto section, I put it there on the this is pretty much the start of April, right? Yeah, April 14th, sorry, mid of April. But we talked about how the weekly had absorbed, right, the sellers for Ethereum. That happened right over here, because if you look in, what do we have? We have 25.5 million in total volume transacted, right? I would have you guys note, look at the discrepancy between this and its surroundings, right? That's how you know this was a liquidation week, because there was just way more volume coming in. Look at the average otherwise, right? You have 15 million, 8 million, 8 million. You're barely getting past 15, and then all of a sudden 25, right? Okay, we have a lot of volume, a lot of contracts have swapped hands. What do we notice off that? 25.5 million in total volume, and the sellers have the edge in terms of aggressive selling, or in terms of aggression, right? In terms of who came out on top in this sandal, in terms of executed contracts, it was the sellers. Look at the delta, negative 330.99k, meaning the sellers were on top of the buyers, right? If you're asking who has the edge, it's going to be the sellers. There's more aggressive sellers than buyers, is what we're saying. But that's not all we look at, right? We have to look at price action as a whole. What do you notice about the actual close of the candle? Well, you closed way above your lows, and if you look at this, you have to do it like this, right? Remember, you have to go diagonal on footprint charts, but you see way more selling than buying. At any given point at these lows, just take a look, right? Compare the ask to the bid. There is way more selling than buying going on. All the 0 versus 2.97k, right? All the way from the lows, like all the way up over here, there's way more selling than buying going on. Yet you closed above all of that. You closed above your value area low, right? 68% of all traded volume took place here, or 70 for most people. You close above your point of control, which is your most traded volume, and you close with a massive SFP, right, on the buyer side, right? What does that mean? It means that the SFP was at the downside, but since the SFP is going up, that's strength on the buyer side, right? The candle closed green. So, you know, realistically speaking, right, if someone told you we have this much volume and the sellers are in control by this much, you'd be thinking, oh, we must have a massive red candle. We must be breaking down from more levels, but that's not the case. That is not the case whatsoever. You held, you SFP'd, right? And you closed above majority of your major levels. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means that all these aggressive sellers, right? Remember, the market's a two-way auction. All these aggressive sellers would have gone to the limit long. In this case, I'm looking at the perpetual chart. So all these market shorts would have gone to your limit longs, right? From your aggressive side to your passive side. And we're saying that the passive buy wall, in this case the passive long side, is too strong, right? The aggressive sellers were absorbed by the passive longs, And therefore we're saying, okay, well, the sellers have run out of steam and there's still this massive limit buy wall left over. You're saying, okay, all those sellers there, they're now caught offside instantly. They're trapped, right? So you'd be looking for a move against them. And that's what we got here. We got that on the weekly. We also got that on the monthly close. So when April closed itself, right, if you take a look, this is an even better close because now, again, you have 64 million in volume with negative 1.23 million being on the seller side, right? So again, in this monthly close, what we're saying is sellers have the edge, right? But once again, take a look at how we closed. Massive absorption on the seller side, right? You closed above your point of control, you closed above your value area low, you closed above this entire high volume node. That is a sign that, again, even on a monthly basis, sellers are caught offside. And that is now what's given us this move against them. And that's why I said this by no means means the bottom is in for sure, but at a minimum what you can expect is a move to take these people that are offside out. And that's what we're getting right now. Right? So Ethereum extremely strong. The amount of shorts that were trapped, they don't understand. There's so many, right? There's so many shorts. Market shorting at the 1500s is just what it is, right? And you know, for us it seems a bit ludicrous, but you got to understand is we surround ourselves with people who know how to trade on a generally speaking, right? We're in groups where people know how to trade. We surround ourselves with people who know how to trade. So for us, shorting 1,500, hopefully looking at this you would have thought that's ludicrous. Why would you do that? But for most people, they're not going to think with their heads or with risk management or with logic or with discipline. They're going to be thinking in terms of emotions. And when you see this, well, you're going to keep thinking, you're going to fall into the CT like, you know, eternal doom trap. You're going to be like, oh, we're going to get triple digit CT soon. You know, people are going to have those random charts where they have consolidation and one random line down to like, you know, $750. And people listen to that and then this is what happens, right? But Ethereum extremely strong because the amount of sellers that got trapped here is actually ludicrous. So many shorts were trapped at a significant level. That's what makes it powerful. Okay, it's not like this was happening in the middle of nowhere. This was happening at levels we talked about way ahead of time, historical levels, right? We had diagonals, we had horizontals, we had everything here. So it was a very significant level. Sellers got trapped. We simply took action according to that. But ETH looks amazing. High, low would be back down towards the key inflection area. That's it, right? That's what I'd want to see. I'd want to see something like this, right? Take the lows and then go up from this point, just up only, just send it. Because what does Ethereum have going for it now? If I was to go back to the actual index chart, which I'm already in, so let me turn this off. Do I have a better ETH chart? One sec, I think I do here. There we go, right? If Ethereum, and this is another view of it, in this view you are at the key inflection area right now, right? So you're also at the historical price range 2018 impulse mid, you at R2 to R3 mid of key inflection area. So here's the thing, if ETH doesn't lose this, there's no point expecting lower. So this is your line in the sand for ETH right now as we speak. If you're going to take some scalp to swing long attempts plays, it's going to be around over here. Okay. So hang on. I think someone's got me on speaker. Wait. Do you mind muting your mic, bro, Grov? I can hear my voice back. That's why. Thank you, brother. Okay, so hang on, let me check to the chat real quick. Yeah, the capitulation that down there would have been crazy. Yeah, sure, bro. Have a good night, man. Okay, so if you can hold this, honestly, I don't think ETH goes much lower, right? It might just be one of those things. It's been hated on this entire cycle. Now it just says fuck you to everybody and just keeps going up without giving a big pullback. But if this is lost, then you can expect those lows, right? And in that case, you'd be getting your key inflection area in this perspective here, okay? So if just that circle that I've marked out, that's your line in the sand. If you wanted levels, basically around 2,476 to 2,438. As long as you can hold this, you're going to keep pushing up. So if you want scalp to swing plays, it's going to be based off this level. Okay, as long as you see buys coming in here, scalp to swing long all day. If you lose down, turn into resistance, I'm not even going to say scalp to swing short, you can, but scalp shorts mainly, right? Because you don't want to be swing shorting down here. But yeah, that is Ethereum. Extremely strong, which also means ETH BTC looks good, right? ETH BTC finally looks good. ETH dominance, all of these are now trying to reclaim levels, hold key levels. So if you look at ETH against BTC real quick, we know we need this to like maintain if we want to go higher. All these key levels we were talking about, right? This very technical chart that I built ages ago, you're coming back up to the top. You pretty much took the lows. That was the last area we talked about between the standard deviation 1 value area low and the 2019 12-month macro read seller zone low. That was the last key area we had for now, right? We maintained that. So you're now currently fighting against your many of you won't have gone to this lesson yet. Some of you will, some of you won't. So I'm not going to explain what everything is here. You do it lesson by lesson. But basically, this is your lower to high point of control, right? Low to high, which means from the impulse down to your impulse up is the point of control of that move. And there's also the value area low of that move. And that is what you're treating as resistance. So hopefully you see this is an area we need to flip into support. Yes, we're there. No, we're not currently flipping into support. It's minute. All we need is this. But that will make a world of a difference in terms of the actual TA, in terms of the actual price action analysis, right? So we need that. Otherwise, we might see one more pullback, maybe, right? Some more chop and then higher. But if you reclaim that, then this has a nice shot at now going towards the macro point of control. And from then point on, is I will literally take a yearly levels to yearly levels. No point overcomplicating it. Yearly levels to volume-based levels to yearly levels to volume-based levels, right? That's it. But ETH and ETH against BTC both look good, right? Aptos, let's look at that next. Let me get rid of this. This right here, currently breaking down from the uptrending line that we had, right? So this wedge kind of structure that we had here, currently breaking down from there. But again, it's all perspective, right? Yes, lower time frame it might look scary, but again, a higher time frame, there is absolutely nothing scary about Aptos, because if you take a look at the weekly, we are at the levels where you want to be exposed, right? If you're gonna have exposure, if you're gonna have risk exposure, it's gonna be within these zones basically for spot. Like, here's the thing, right? Yes, you want tight risk management, but you don't want tight risk management all the time, okay? And some of this comes with experience, right? Because this is why for scalping, when we do advanced, we'd have the psychology class first, right? I always say there's now going to be discrepancies between what we've done in core and what we do in advanced. In core, we learn about the time-based capitulation. We learn about absorbing the chop that comes with a higher time frame, right? When you're scalping, when you're doing advanced classes, we don't do that. It's very direct. One entry, one TP, one stop loss. No DCAs, none of this messing around trying to not get stopped out. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right kind of scenario, right? On the higher time frame, however, especially at these lows, the last thing you want is to be chopped up 10 times, okay? So instead, just have a high time frame approach of building your back out. That's the best thing, which is why I give you guys 20, 40, 40, right? Aptos is one of those coins where we can see it's been consolidating at these range lows for ages, right? It's never breached this range low, so it could, like if you wanted to, it could go wick down, it could go wick below $3, rate that last guy and then reclaim and go. It could do that, sure. Or it could just chop here. It could just be like, okay, we've never broken down here seriously before. We're not going to do it now. And then it could just go with if the market goes up, right? We don't know. Anyone telling you with chest they know, don't know, right? We don't know what's going to happen. All we can do is manage our risks at these very, very, crucial areas, basically, right? So you have levels on your screen. Take special heed to the yearly levels. So for now, your yearly level is $4.32. You can see all the reactions you've had here in the past, okay? That's your 2024 level. And so when 2025 opened, for example, why was this low here? I gave Aptos as an entry over here, right, in our streams, and that is because we massively SFP'd the 2024 12-month buy zone low. The yearly level held, buyers showed strength, right, which is why we captured this move up. Do we have wave structure on Aptos is the next question. So let me hide those trend lines. Let me hide, there's a bit too many here. So there's two Fib retracements for now. Let's get rid of those. And this rectangle, let's hide that too. Let's take a look. Do we have any wave structures on Aptos? So, I mean, that looks like a deep crab. I don't think we get it, but no. Let's just do this then. There you go. It's just going to be another Gartley. That's it. Everything, pretty much everything is printing Gartleys. So you have $4, whatever that is. Let me just mark it down. $4.44. $4.404, sorry. Instead of saying 44, I should say $4.404. Gartley 0.786, and then should you progress onto the deep Gartley, that's gonna take us to. So we have a very nice PRZ here with a yearly level as confluence. Hopefully you guys can see that for Aptos. Okay. Here we go. This is your deep Gartley 0.886. You have a level you just don't want closing below, right? This PRZ, you don't want to lose this, right? Even if you chop into this area, you want that area to hold and eventually we shoot up. Okay, but there is this $4.404 to 4.167. That's your line in the sand for Aptos. Okay, This would be a very, very important level to mark out for Aptos. If you can hold this Gartley / deep Gartley level, I think that's it. I don't think we visit, 347. However, should we come down and should we start doing this, right? Start turning this to resistance. You can look for a scalp short to hedge your spot bags. I'm not even going to tell you to cut your spot bags if you don't want to, because at these levels you can instead just scalp your spot bag, or rather hedge your spot bag. Whatever lower price you go to, just take profits of that, put it back into spot. Okay, whether you get rid of your spot bags or not is here. Do not follow what I'm going to do exactly to the T. Do what is right for you. Okay, risk management should be independent. There is no one size fits all risk management. Okay, my port size is going to be different to yours. My risk management tolerance is going to be different to yours, right? My hold time is going to be different to yours. The way I structure my trades is going to be slightly different to yours, perhaps. So the important thing here is you guys know the key levels and you know what you're looking for, right? For successful holds of this, any pullbacks into this, you want SFPs. You want aggressive sellers being not rewarded. You want them being absorbed, and you want, building above here. Perhaps divergence builds up. That's the kind of structure you're looking for, right? What you don't want to see is breakdown and failure to recapture. Aggressive buyers coming in to recapture, them getting absorbed. If you start seeing signs like that, that's your sign to either get rid of your spot bag if you do not want to be, if you don't know want to risk holding for lower prices, and also your sign to hedge a short, right, based on that loss at that level. Otherwise, this ultimately for now, this is where you want Aptos to hold. Yeah, you might get some lower time frame chop, but if you can hold that, then I think eventually Aptos goes up. And again, on the conservatively, if you get a full-blown alt season, I reckon you get about at least basically 300% move up on this, right? But I think we go and take these equals out. So even if you don't go all the way back up towards 29, that is still a nice, because this is one of my bigger bags, right? This is something I'm going to have 6 figures in by the time I'm fully sized up. So that's going to be nice profits either way. Should we go towards the targets, right? This is one of the reasons I'm saying I don't care if you have, 5 trades, 100 trades, size up, okay? For your main trades, just size up. There is no point in having 100, 50, 60, 80, 100 different trades open, okay? There just isn't. For your majority of your portfolio should be focus bets. That's where money's made, okay? Don't fall into the trap of, you'll see plenty of people like this in CT, right? Where they claim they have so many trades open and this and that. It doesn't matter, right? What's the point of having 130 different trades open if you can make pretty much the same money just holding one position? You're just paying a shit ton in funding across 130 different positions otherwise. Just have a concentrated bet, right? So how many trades you have open it shouldn't be like, what's the word? The benchmark to how good of a trader you are. Okay, I've seen people conflate this. There's so many beginners on CT that I think it's impressive if they post a screenshot of them on their exchange showing they've got 90 trades open, so on and so forth. Anyone can open 90 trades. I could open 1 million trades if I wanted to right now, right? Doesn't mean it's a good idea, right? So concentrated bets, that's where you're gonna make your money, okay? So Aptos, yeah. I mean, just look where you are. You just look where you are. That's the main thing I can say. Over here, if you're not gonna risk here, where are you gonna risk it? And another thing is, once we start going up, don't make the mistake of thinking you're gonna get opportunities like this forever. Because, okay, let's say we get a bullish, even on a monthly basis, okay? When we really get going, this is the type of shit we're gonna be putting in. That is a 500% candle on the monthly. Do you really think you're gonna be able to get an entry when something like this is going on? Hell no. Okay, I mean, people think all the time oh yeah, I'm just gonna wait for blah 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 blah. I'm gonna wait for this and then this and then this, and got so many different analysis paralysis, right? And the next thing you know, you're up 200% on the week, and you realize, oh, this is not a good entry point, right? So when you're at areas like this, I'm saying, drop the ego. You don't have to have super high leverage anything unless you're scalping. Scalp the swing, sure. Yeah, your leverage is gonna you're gonna have high leverage because with scalps, I prefer higher leverage, right? Because when I'm scalping, I'm making big bets. I'm risking a huge amount of my portfolio, but my drawdown is minimal on scalps. But on swings, you don't need that. Okay, drop the ego. Your swings are gonna be the best. Just look at Aptos, right? If you don't look at this and you don't think to yourself oh, I've got such a good opportunity here, then you are doing it wrong. And you feel the mid of the monthly order block, you're still within it, but it's not like you've lost it. So that's another piece of confidence you have. The mid of that monthly order block is still there, and the worst that could happen from here is you go and turn that into resistance, by which point you're out anyway, right? Or you're at least hedged, so you don't have much risk even if you do go down, because it's spot and you're hedged with a scalp. Hedge with leverage, sorry. But yeah, that is Aptos. Aptos looks amazing. Just size up stuff for this for me, right? I'm already positioned in some of these. But it's exciting when you look at these, because how long is price going to stay here? This low has been holding for since 2023, 2022 even, right? Since this low has been holding, and we have plenty of moves off it, into it, off it, into it, right? Off it again, into it again. So I would love to see that like proper explosion up on Aptos, right? Because this, at the end of the day, this level has always held strong supports here. So that's APT. You ETH capitulated down there, yeah. And no problem, go, Graph. Yeah, that's it, exactly like John said, yeah. You can just be a bit more flashy if you're in 100 different trades, right? You can show your percentage P&Ls, and you know, you've got 1000% here and here and here. But how much money have you made? That's all that matters. How much money have you made? So that's Aptos, amazing area, right? Blessing of an area, because this is the kind of shit where, you know, I'm telling you guys about this now. We look at it, right? We enter, we're gonna go. All of a sudden, everything's gonna turn really bullish at some point, right? And once we do eventually go, and we are up at $13-14, I'm gonna be doing one of these streams in Unity. I'm gonna be doing one of these streams in, you know, these servers that I was just streaming, right? And I'm gonna be getting requests saying, oh, is it a good time to enter Aptos, right? And I'm gonna tell them yes, it is. As I put my limit sell orders open, I'm gonna tell them yes, you should buy right now. Go and market buy, because I'm not gonna be telling any of you guys to buy Aptos over here. Okay, the one time you'll hear me say is when we're down over here. Once we go, if you guys have missed it, you missed it. That's it. So just set your alerts up. Okay, just, you know, have a risk management strategy that works for you. You guys know how 20-40-40 works. Let me give you a refresher. The ratios are not what's important. What's important is this, right? That's your CMP entry. This is your size up / DCA entry, right? So if your local resistance gets flipped to support, so if you go down to your next key area, for example, you DCA with this allocation, and then this last one you leave for when the trend shifts. Okay, so when the last lower high, that left of the lower low gets taken out and a high low comes in, that's when you throw this in. So I'm currently on this portion, okay? And since we entered here, my initial entry wasn't 20. Your ratios are completely dependent on when you do your initial entry, how far away is your stop loss? In this case, right, stop loss was literally 10% away. So it doesn't make sense for me to only risk 20% when I have got such a tight risk management for spot. So I was in 40% there. Right? That means I got 60% left. So this for me is 30. This is 30. This is pretty much spent. Okay? So I literally only have 30% left to size up with now. So I either, right? Either we get here and basically I size up at the double bottom, so on and so forth. Right? I'm in some hedge shorts as well, so I'm protected on the downside. Or we actually go and turn this level to resistance, and I add to my hedge short, and I go down. I'm just not. I don't plan on getting rid of my spot bag anytime soon. Right, not unless like the entire narrative, we get some sort of black swan that actually collapses crypto. I don't plan on getting rid of my spot bag at these lows for no reason, right? The whole point of this area is to build out a spot bag. So, yeah, that is. But that final allocation is your trend shift allocation. Until that comes in, you're not fully positioned, okay? Because you don't want to be fully positioned until you're certain you're on the right side of the market, okay? And in terms of technical analysis, that's going to be the last lower high led to the lower low being taken out and a higher low coming in. That's it. But yeah, that's Aptos. Next, let's take a look at AVAX. Beautiful. AVAX also has, believe it or not, Gartley's going for itself, right? So here is the Gartley. I think we've actually hit the so the Gartley 786 hit and respected. The Gartley 886 front ran for now, right? So the 786 of the Gartley's been hit. We've re-hit this key area, right? That used to be a daily buy zone, right there. We've been pivoting that. We've been using that as a pivot point for the lower time frame. And if this is lost, then I'll be looking at basically this, right? The 886 below this. I'm sure you could take more. You could take more. Like for example, you could do this. You could say, oh, here's a wave structure. What about this? And yeah, you can go ahead and do that if you want to. So you could say, okay, from there to there, down to there. That would give you another Gartley, right? So that'd give you a 786 just around here. So basically, there's loads of wave structures that you can put down here, right? But the key thing is, compared to these, we're at good areas. So for example, here is a 786. So here's another Gartley, and I'm going to change the color of this to this. And then this is your Gartley 0.786. Here we go. And then of course you can pivot this to the deep Gartley as well, which would give us a slightly deeper level now of around here. All of these just become like your PRZs basically, right? If this is lost, you look at this, so on and so forth. For now, the top one is held, and if that is lost, that is when you have that 886 hard look at basically. But all of these again just become key areas for Aptos to come into, right? We've got a really nice area over here. This would be a nice high-low area as well compared to this, right? Do I have fifth speed resistance fans compared to this high to this low? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to look at deep retracements once. So you know this would be lining up with a deeper retracement, right? But to be honest, 1 second, 702.707. I think 702.707 has hit. Yeah, so that's what we've been pivoting off of for now. There. The rejection was the top side liquidity rate of the shallow retracement, and the what we're holding off, reacting off of right now is the liquidity rate of the golden pocket. Right, so let's see what kind of move we get here. But again, I'm just slowly adding into spot. That's it, right? Just slowly and slowly and slowly adding into spot. That's all I'm doing. I'm not even scalping here. I don't see the point, right? It's just a waste of my time because at this point I'm gonna make way more money just holding spot, right? Just holding spot. By the time I'm fully deployed and I'm past that seven figure mark, I'm just gonna watch as us just gonna hold the spot bags, and then that is going to be the reason why I won't have to trade actively for the next like however many months, right? If this is gonna be the low that sends us higher, I won't have to do anything. I'll look for some really nice scalp to swing opportunities should we go to those deeper levels, but I don't see the point now scalping and just like, you know, for just time and energy at levels where it's not the most optimum in terms of the downtrend, right? If for the most optimum, I'd want these deeper prices here. So if we start getting monthly closes, after the monthly close, what I'd want is that, for example, the monthly demand zone that is the buy zone that is created, maybe a pullback to the mid. If those are held, then I'll start jumping into scalp to swing mindset longs again. But until then, I'm just gonna build a spot back out, and that is literally it. Right, we're already in some swings anyway, right? So all the plays I gave, those swings should still be open. Maybe stop loss or break even some have hit. Otherwise, those swings should still be open, right? So risk-free swings already in those. So yeah, it's just a matter of patience here, in my opinion. But yeah, AVAX looks good, right? Say, same thing. Look where you are on Say. Like, you've taken out the last lower higher that led to the lower low, and now you're back at just that very pivotal area, right? The area where we know you've had very, very strong reactions in the past. And yes, Say might also give us some. Say might give us some. So there's your 4-month levels. Let me turn that off for now. Where's it gone? Come on now. Have I put that underneath? What did I put that in? This one should be out over here. This is other time frame buy seller zones. There we go. Yeah, perfect. So let's turn that off. Right, so we have just yearlies going for us for now, and this horizontal ray, let's turn that off as well. Perfect. So again, locally speaking, that looks like a 786 or somewhere in between a 618 and a 786. Yeah, 735. No, okay, a bit deeper then. So we're looking at it from here. 556. So I hate it when something like this happens. It doesn't give you a nice ratio. So I'm going to pin that as a 0.5 for now. And if that is the case, then the 886 is slightly lower on Say. But you have a bat here, right? You have internal bat. The reason I'm calling it internal bat is because we've not gone to the most external of the pivots, the swing point, right? We've just the external swing point's down over here. So I'm calling it internal harmonic. So internal first, and if the internal lost, then you look at your external, right? So this is your bat 0.886, or rather, this is your, so I don't get it mixed up, this is your internal bat 0.886. And then if this is lost, then we can go and put the external on, right? But I would not want this lost. Again, what I would want to see is, I'd want to see this. I'd want to see some sort of macro cumulative structure to absolutely just send it, right? So for now, that'd be the nice PRZ for us. For say, we've got the 1.13 extension, right? We were talking about. So now just give us the 886 and send it. That's what I'd want to see. But yeah, many of these, right? Again, this is something you just slowly build out a spot bag at this point. Don't even think about it as a RR setup, right? I personally wouldn't, because if you're entering any these coins for me, AVAX, SAY, SUI, right? Aptos, you know, ETH, all of these, which are my bigger spot plays, I'm getting in them because I think they're going to do really well on the macro. I'm not entering them because I think I can get a nice 3RR trade-off. No, I'm entering them until I see macro distribution, because I think they can go up, SAY can go up to 77 cents. I think SAY can go up to fill this harmonic if everything goes crazy. Those are the reasons I'm getting into this with size now. Right, so what I'm going to build over here, I'm simply going to turn my brain off, and now that we look like the structure starting to shift, until that gets invalidated, I'm just going to slowly build a spot back out. That's it. So that's SAY. AVAX and SAY pretty much look the same, right? The last lower highs that led to the lower lows have been taken out, right? And then a high low looks like it could come in. So here's AVAX, and again, let me remind you how nice AVAX looks on the macro. Okay, you have a completed, that's a deep crab, right? You have a completed deep crab there, where we bounced off of, right over there. Beautiful, right? You got that bullish divergence at the deep crab itself on the daily. Absolutely phenomenal price action, right? That sent us higher here. Last lower high that led to the lower low has been taken out. The macro bat 886, let me remind you again from history, that one there, that 86 is also right there, right? As long as we're above all of these levels, there is absolutely nothing to fear now. Okay, so first, you know, if you took some scalp to swing plays, I'd be targeting these. Right, and for spot, it's like, you know, if weakness comes in here, it really genuinely looks like, oh shit, looks like that's heavy distribution, you take some profits, right? And you could just size back up if you flip it into support. Otherwise, I'd be looking towards here. That's where I'll be looking. For me, the next bearish wave structure takes us to the Gartley 886 at $83. So for me, like, if I'm gonna completely get rid of my spot bag, I'm only gonna what I'd want to do is I'd want AVAX to reach these targets, and again, that is from where we currently are. Hang on, let me zoom in. Where are we? Where are we right now? We are. That is a 317% pump. Right? That is nothing to scoff at. Because it's not like AVAX is some low cap shit coin either. It's not like that. Right? So, yeah, AVAX looks fantastic. Right, and you know, remember, the more harmonics you have at a particular area, the more powerful we presume that area to be. So we have now at this area macro 886, right? We have these 88. We know from here to here was an 886. We have a 1.618 retracement, right? So we have the 886 from this to this. We have the 886 from this to this. We have the 1.618 from this to this, the extension of that, and now we might have a 786 to the 86 in there as well. So many fibs are lining up in this area. This is extremely powerful PRZ for AVAX. We cannot be surprised if it gets it. If AVAX goes to $162 this cycle, like, that's it. That's it. That's retirement, right? That'd be ridiculous if it went there. But even if it goes to 131, these targets, like, that's extremely, extremely good money. So this is why I'm saying, hopefully you look at this and you realize concentrated bets are going to take you way further than dotting, you know, throwing piddle over here and a piddle over there and a little blip over here and a little grain over there. Instead of that, just throw fat sacks into a few concentrated bets, okay? It's not financial advice, okay? But it's just what I'm going to be doing. That's what I'm going to say, all right? SUI, another one. What is this? We didn't get the 886 for now. So we have 707. I don't like that. Let's go to the 4 hours. Let's choose some. It's perfect. I do like it because that's again what's 707. You guys know that is the liquidity rate of your 618, right? In my system, that's the golden pocket. That's what we've gone to the T. There just isn't any harmonics with the 707 in it. Not official ones anyway, and I stick to officials for now. So for now we'll leave that. I'll wait for. Let's look at more local price action until I get some sort of inspiration for that. Let's take a look. So we had in this, we did have a. I have another chart for this. Hang on, is SWE here? There we go. Okay, so this is the chart I put up for you guys yesterday, right? I said if you can maintain this, it's good because you have your deep Garley here, basically 886, right? Deep Garley 886. So if you can go and reclaim this, scalp the swing mindset longs. Okay, if you can go, because you've taken out the range lows now. Look, all that range low has been taken out. You've gone as far as this. So this has been retested. This reminds me awfully like what Bitcoin did in a way. Because Bitcoin has something like this. Let me show you what I mean. It's at like a smaller scale. But Bitcoin does this a lot. If you go to the weekly, look at what Bitcoin did here. You had better look at the daily actually, right? So you had vertical accumulation, right? Vertical accumulation right over here. Breakout, liquidity rate, send, right? So this liquidity rate retested. If you take a look, the top of your vertical accumulation. So what we have here on SWE is pretty much the same. Vertical accumulation, breakout, right? Liquidity rate, that's your liquidity rate to the downside of the range, and it's held. It's retested the top of your vertical accumulation. So if you can, honestly, if you can flip this back into support, this zone, yeah, that's it. Just scalp the swing mindset trades. Like you could, that's where if you want to tight stop loss, then you can do it there then, right? Because on SWE now, it is detrimental if you just hold, because you could be losing like 50% of your value if you lose this area potentially, is what you're saying. Below this, like you wouldn't be surprised if you go to areas like this, right? Actually, that's not 50%, but still, under the 22% drop. So in that case, like, you know, if you entered based on this, if you start turning this to resistance, you would cut. Very simple, right? In moments like that, yes, tight risk management is the way to go. But for now, the deep Garley 886 is turning to resistance. You've hit the 15-minute fair value gap. You could also do a head short here if you wanted to, like this. And then you would you would see what kind of reaction do you get at this key level, right? Buy started holding, you would just cut your head short there. Otherwise, what you're really looking for is one more drive down, right? Put some sort of divergence in, so you'd be looking for lower. Based on the fact that 886 is rejecting, that's all. Perhaps you go to this daily buyer seller zone, perhaps you go to the lower daily buyer seller zone, perhaps you go to the daily fair value gap. Who knows? All you can do is set your alerts up, and once price gets there, just watch for the price action that comes in. What kind of structure is developed once we get there, so on and so forth, right? But this, if you can reclaim, it's a beautiful scalp to swing long here, in my opinion. You'd be targeting basically this again. If you can get above this, I'd be looking for, I mean, you would have the 786 above you technically, so that's something else you should put down as well, the 786 of the Gartley. But above the 786, like, it's back towards here, right, for SWE. But yeah, that is SWE. Many of these look so good, honestly. It's like, you know, you've got the breakout. Like SWE, like that's actually had an impulse, right? Many coins haven't had a proper impulse yet. We've seen AVAX, say Aptos, you know, many of these haven't had an impulse, right? So when these do eventually get impulses, they can go extremely well. This, another one, honestly, I do like Trump, I can't lie, right? The coin's doing something kind of crazy. It's kind of accumulating back above the 886. It might get one more visit down to the weekly order block right over here. However, as long as that is held, like honestly, it's no problem whatsoever. I do think Trump does have a repricing back to the upside right now, right? My thesis might change depending on the future price action that comes in, but for now I do have a feeling that Trump will at some point like reprice back towards $24. If you get above that, I'm telling you what you guys see, you have one resistance level right over here, the buy seller zone on the weekly, but above that it's literally clear skies. Okay, if you get above 30, not even 30, the mid of that, 28, if you can base above 28.125 basically, you are looking at another repricing, a violent repricing might I add. It will be violent if you look to the left, of 80% back towards $51 on this. Don't forget, Trump is in office for a while now, okay? So we cannot be surprised if some shenanigans pop off with this coin. But above that 886, yeah, Trump is nice, right? Trump is nice above that 886. Do we have, no, I don't see any wave structures, so right off the bat here, no, that's pretty much equal, so nothing. But literally that's just the view you need for Trump right now. As long as you're above this 886, you're good, right? So if you wanted to do a tight risk managed entry, how would you do it? I'd do it like this. That's it, very simple. Even just to a rate of these highs, let's say, right, maybe somewhere towards here, that's a 56% move, right? If you go to here, that is a 154% move, and should that ever go up to here, that's a 362% move, right, to $51 from where we are. So Trump, again, not at a bad price either. Let's look at Ondo. Love this one. Ondo, this is one of the ones, actually this is the first one I gave an alt as well, right, because Ondo is the first one that hit PRZ. So what PRZ did Ondo hit? Right here. This was 1, this was 2. We are in from 2. Okay, I know some of you joined a bit later, so that can't be helped. But for those of you already in the server, I literally gave this over here saying, look, we've hit the second PRZ, right? So that's that. Right now we're having a pullback to, again, the trend line, right? It's from this to this, from this to this. It's a nice little demand line, let's say. As long as the demand line is held, you're fine. We might get one more tap back to this level, and this is something we've been talking about for a while. If you guys remember back in like start of April, I was saying if we could get a smiley face around this zone, that'd be perfect. We might finally get that smiley face that sends us higher, right? So if we take a look at Ondo, it looks like we're getting a butterfly here. No, I mean, is that a bit too deep for a 786? No, that's perfect. So we have a 786, and yeah, that's a butterfly. So the butterfly is going to be a bit deeper. It's not there yet. Honestly, harmonics are so powerful. 1.272. Ondo down to this price again for a smiley face would be absolutely lethal. For a butterfly, it's up to a 2.24, right? So, or am I mistaken with that? There. That would be nice on Ondo if we got it. That right there. Let's see if you have any internal wave structures. So I've taken it from this left. What about from here? Well, if we take it from here, that looks like an 886. Ooh. 1.6. Oh, that is beautiful. Okay, hang on. Honestly, if there's one style of TA that I'm glad I learned from someone else, is harmonics. Because honestly, this thing has made me so much money over the macro period. We've not hit the 1.618 quite yet, right? But that doesn't matter. We might get one more flush down to it. That's the 882, 878, 882. 1.618 is going to be right over here. One more flush down, please. I don't really care. Like, that's pretty much a 1.618 anyway. But if we do get one more flush across the market, we already have a nice PRZ building out for us. There we go. Okay, so this is your deep crab. 1.618, okay, and the hop of this is going to be the 2.0, but we're not going to worry about that for now because we have a nice PRZ that we can work with. The other one we're interested in is, actually, you know what, let me change the color for this because we've already got the bat to be that color. Let's make it something. No, we've already used that. Let's make it pink. Go on, get in touch with our feminine side. Okay, and the butterfly is right over here, right? There you go. Just gonna put it to the B point. There's the low. Control V, and that is your butterfly. 1.272. Perfect. And this one we can go ahead and get something that we haven't used. Dark green. Perfect. There. Okay. Ondo. Back to those levels would be absolutely amazing. If that happens, it's just gonna slam more size in. Right? Literally, just slam more size in. There. So again, we have more harmonics, right? So I'm going to create a group with this, and I'm going to call them current, brush, whatever. Group 2 is the wave structures back to the upside. Yeah, so as long as the 86 is held on the macro, we're good. So we can turn group 2 off here. So what you can hopefully see is, right, for Ondo, what you need to do, very simple, you need to hold this level. I'm just going to give you one big fat circle, there you go, Right now, the 1.6, if you want it even tighter, 78 cents, right? If you ever lose 75 cents, then you have a PRZ down over here. Okay, if you ever lose 78, you have a PRZ between 75 and 73. That is the level you want. Holding, smiley face, with wave structure confluence, absolutely send it. Ondo, another one that looks amazing, right? The RWA better than this one. Look at the structure for this. Like, not many cryptos are doing this right now. Like, literally, this thing's got very good structure on the higher time frame. So as long as this holds, I'll be Gucci for Ondo. Okay. So Ondo looks really good too. Let me check back to the chat real quick. One sec. Yeah, no, I got TA's horseshit in the stream, bro. He's gonna report me to the FCA if I give you guys financial advice. So. Dip is a blessing in this case. Yeah, even if the top is in for BTC, it'll most likely bounce up. Yeah. But I don't think the top is in for BTC yet. I do think, because if the top is in now, because I had a plan going into this cycle, especially the latter half of it. My three scenarios were either a blow off top, a normal cycle scenario, or extended cycle scenario. Right now, if you get a pullback that is deeper, back towards, let's say 96 or so, like 92, 94, so on and so forth, I think we get a normal cycle scenario, a couple more months of chop, and then higher towards quarter 3, quarter 4. But if we literally just get a steep pullback that gets eaten up very, very quick, I think we get a blow off top. And in the blow off top scenario, I have anywhere between, let's say, 120 to 130 something to begin with. I've got this. Hang on. I can just turn the ABCDs on, right? There we go. Right, so blow off top scenario anywhere between 120 and 132, and if the buying pressure persists, then 150 to 165. I'm not going to give targets higher than 152 or 165 for now. I do not think we're going to get 200k this cycle. If we do, it's a blessing, just higher prices for us still. But otherwise, you know, I think for a blow off top scenario right now, I'm going to be eyeing 121 to 132, and then I want Bitcoin dominance to absolutely crash once we go to this area, and also to really pick up. Yeah. But we'll see. Okay, so we just did Ondo. Let's look at Hype. Liquidity rate of the range extreme. What did I tell you guys? Here's a live view of it. Don't ever try to play the range extreme. They're gonna eat you up. They're gonna eat you up so diabolically. Always happens, right? Because again, most people do not have these ratios, right? They're gonna eat you up. So Hype, higher targets still. We can definitely go up here for the absolutely bullish scenario. I'm not even going to try to give entries on Hype right now. I'm not interested. You guys should be in by $9. If not, you missed the boat. There's going to be better opportunities, right? So there's no point looking at Hype right now. If you really wanted, I suppose I could give you one. Hang on then. 886 here. This would be a nice entry on Hype if we got it. The shark for trend shark to trend continuation. All right, 886. Somewhere around $26 to $25. You get that region. You know, if you hold the trend line, you just bid basically, right? Here's your trend line. I'd sort of put it like that, and then you have yeah, that's it. Somewhere around there. That'd be my entry on Hype. I'm just not interested in leveraging this. I'm not interested in buying this at these prices whatsoever. Right? We're in from where we talked about this ages. Again, that $9 level was given way ahead of time. Okay, yeah, there's literally, you could go on my YouTube, look at the streams I was doing back here. The recordings are there for everyone to see. We talked about how, okay, the divergence is building up. If you ever lose that log 414, we see the next area is the 764, 786. We got the 786, right? So I closed my scalp to swing long out, which was this play right over here. Right, I closed this out at $19. Am I mad I closed at 19? Hell no. This was a scalp to swing. Right, I took something from $9 to 19 at 50x with size. Right, I'm gonna play that. Right, I don't care if I didn't sell the top. The whole point of a scalp to swing is you enter with a scalp mindset, the RR of a lower time frame trade. You can risk portfolio accordingly. Right, you can risk it. The way I scalp, you guys know how I do it. Like I risk a nice percentage of my portfolio. I go in with size because my risk management is super tight. And if you can then turn that into a swing, it's a blessing. And that's what we managed to do with this one. Right, so you know, yes, it would be nice if I played it all the way up over here because that would have been way more money. But that's what my swing play and my spot bag is for. So that with my scalp to swing, I can just get rid of it whenever I have enough money, right? And with that money, I'm just gonna rotate it to more spot. It's still gonna make me money at the end of the day. Doesn't matter. But I'm not going to enter this play here. And again, something else I'll tell you guys, by the way, and this is a very good example of it, is what do I always tell you? Remember, if your trend is strong, please don't complacently wait for the 618 every single time. If your trend is strong, your shallow retracement golden pockets, if you're talking golden pockets, right? Your shallow retracement golden pockets should be doing all the work. This is a prime example of that. As soon as, right, where is this from? This is from this low to this high, because that is the high that shifted your structure, right? Your change of character came in from this high over here. You got the high low where? Shallow retracement. Ever since that, just take a look. You have never ever breached this low. That is how you know the trend of something is super, super strong. You've never ever lost this area. Yet, everyone, 99% of people who use fibs just mindlessly put a retracement down. I'm going to wait for the 618, right? That's not how fibs is meant to be used if you understand it at a deep enough level. Your shallow retracements are the ones where, if your trend is strong, it doesn't matter if it's an uptrend or a downtrend, your reaction should come in at the shallow zone. If your reaction from the shallow zone isn't strong enough, and then you start to get distribution or accumulation depending on which side of the market you're on, that's when you start to think, okay, we might push higher, we might go lower, right? And then you guys thinking, okay, the buyers that tried to step in or the sellers that tried to step in at the shallow couldn't get the reaction that we wanted, therefore we might now get the deeper pull. In that case, yes, you then wait for the 0.5, the 618, the 586, but you never ever blindly wait for this, okay? Many people do this. It's a very one-dimensional way of trading fibs. You guys have all taken calls, so please don't do that, right? Remember, shallow always first. Prime example on something live, because this has been doing it since the uptrend, since we shifted to an uptrend, right? So, nothing for me to say on hype. If you get the harmonic, that's it. Otherwise, I'm not interested at all, right? I'm positioning this like I do not care. So, if you're not in hype, don't worry about it. Literally focus on something else. There's going to be other coins where opportunity is way better. Doge, another one I do want to get in at. 2024 yearly levels. Let's see what the monthly close is like on this one. I mean, to be honest, yeah, I would actually love a pullback on Doge just to get that 886, because on the crypto chart anyway, it's just not giving you that 886, and it's really ticking me off. Like, maybe it's just the way my brain works, but when I see this gap, I'm like, but that is so annoying. Like, I want that 86 to get tapped, something like this. Give us divergence, right? I don't know if it's gonna happen, but if it did, that'd be absolutely fantastic. If this 86, if we got the 886 with divergence, that'd be such a big bid for Doge, honestly. Otherwise, let's yearly levels on the left and the local distribution levels on the right. Otherwise, what do we have? Well, locally speaking, that looks like a bat underway. 886, yeah, we do have a bat right over here. As much as I want that lower 886, guys, doesn't mean we need to get it, okay? Go with the trend. If the market decides we're not going to get it, it's what it is. So your first reactions you're going to be looking for are going to be here. Let's go for the 0.5. Here we go. And the 886 is going to be there. 0.17510. Just notice the time. I need to get going soon, so I'll do this, and then I'll do a stream again like sometime next week where we can go over like other coins. This is the BAT 0.5. No, what am I talking about? This is the BAT 0.886. There. But yeah, that'd be nice on Doge, right? Like, keep the trend going basically from this point on, right? And then absolutely send it. But Doge is something I want. They've started filing for like Doge spot coin, spot ETF and stuff like this. With that Doge obviously being like a member of government, so on and so forth, like an entity in the government. This just seems like a no-brainer play. Like, high time frame trend, respected. So yeah, this is a no-brainer play in my opinion. Doge. I'm just gonna buy some spot and forget about it. And PAL AI bets above the macro 886, all is good, right? For PAL, literally, pretty much hit the butterfly. It's still valid, but we might not get it at this rate, so I'll leave it on. But PAL, as long as you're holding these range lows, like, it's just fine. Otherwise, yeah, I don't like how you've been chopping around here for so long. Otherwise, I'd love to see this 1.13 on PAL. That'd still be valid. 1.13 of the shark, right? So the 1.13, and then send it. But yeah, so I think I will look at some of this. I'm seeing if I don't get. uh, right, let's take a look. ENA Zeta. Oh, ENA, that's a good shout. Okay, I'm gonna quickly do ENA. I already gave this in my I updated this yesterday, but let's take a look real quick. Focus V2. Now, which one did I do it off? Is the question. Is it this chart? Yes. Yeah, it is this chart. Okay, ENA. That Gartley hit. I gave this yesterday. We've hit the Gartley. Gartley's been respected. If the Gartley's lost, of course, we can have the deep Gartley as well. So the 786 is there. Let me just do this real quick. Hang on. Settings, coordinates. Here. And if this Gartley is lost, then you could go to the 886, which you haven't hit yet, which will be over here. Oh, that 886 would be nice because you've got a deep Gartley. If you've got 28 cents ENA again, basically, over here. Deep Gartley 0.886, and you also have, just below that, of course, you have the 1.618 right over here. There we go. And let me do bottom. And let me do top. There. So those are your PRZs for Gartley. That'd be a tap of your 0.5 standard deviation value area high as well. Right? Sorry, value area low, not even value area high, value area low. So this is the level you want holding on ENA should you get down there. You got historical confluence too, so as long as this holds, everything's good, and ENA can just once again progress back to the upside. Yeah, so that's ENA. And Zeta RDNT. I'll do Zeta and then I have to go, I'm afraid. Let's do Zeta real quick though, because I saw it here earlier. There we go. It's been a while since I looked at this. Rejected off a 0.94 fib area. Premium distribution actually, if you look at the 4 hours. Initial resistance, radon liquidity, reconfirmation of resistance, send it back to the downside. I've not looked at this chart in a while. Right. Let's take a look. No harmonics here, because that's not a shark, so let me just hide that. Only thing we can do here is fibs. One sec. I think it is fairly easier, to be honest, over here on Zeta. Let me see, do we have what do we have? Nothing worthwhile, that's the answer. What about a 786? Do we have a 786? Yeah, we do. We have a 786 here, so that's worth it. So by the looks of things, we're gonna get a butterfly for now. 1.272, nearly. .272, nearly 252. Hate these god awful front runs. And if we go to the 1.414, a bit deep. Okay, so for now I'd say 1.272. As long as you're above this on Zeta for now, I'm going to say you'll be fine. If it holds, then you at least get a reactionary pump back to the upside. Let's just make it pink. So this is your butterfly 1.272. There we go. So I'll treat that like a line in the sand for now. 2014. If you lose that, then you're probably going to head towards the 1.414, which is going to be pretty much at these lows there. butterfly. This is your hop. There. Yeah, those are the two levels I'll be watching, bro. That 1.414 I like. Something like this would be nice, right? Something like this, and then reclaim and then go. If you wanted to get into Zeta, because if that turns into resistance, honestly, I think you probably just head to take out 14 cents then, because you have nothing. You have absolutely nothing. If that is turned into resistance, because you would be confirming distributive structure, and then a loss of basically the support. I think that would actually wreck you back down towards 14 cents if that happened. So those are what, yeah, that's what I see on Zeta for now, bro. Yeah, sure, brother. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. I need to go as well. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this stream. I'll do another one sometime next week, right? Soon. I think I have a couple of days free next week. Like it's last minute because I'll be getting a call here because some booking came in or because some delegation walks in. I need to look after them, host them. But otherwise, yeah, I'll ping like I did today before our stream so that you guys can be there. Yeah. But yeah, if you guys do have any questions, want me to look at any charts for you, just put it in the chart request or something. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in crypto chat. Yeah, I need to dip now. Right, let me end the recording here then. You too, brother.